I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. I'd like to say it's good to be here tonight, but I just don't wanna. I don't wanna. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic to the bone. I mean, when people describe what it feels like, you know, taking a drink and it gets all warm, and I start salivating, you know, and you know, people talk about the insanity of, you know, wanting the drink, you know, and going to any lengths to get that drink no matter who you hurt or no matter what you lose. I know that, you know, to the bone. I mean, I know I gotta have a drink. You know, I know, I know being hysterical on piers and being in rages in the middle of the night down streets and creeping and skulking through alleys and, you know, being on the road and all just to chase a bottle, you know, and having to have that drink. And I know waking up guilty, and I know having tremendous remorse and wondering what the hell just happened, you know, and being totally confused, you know, and wondering what happened last night, you know, all as a result of the drink. You know, I qualify for other 12-step programs, but I'm here now, so I'll be here now. I have very little to lose at this point. You have no idea. My sobriety date's May 31st, 1996. And I came into the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous homeless, jobless, unemployable. I came on the heels of a 5-day blackout, and that was pretty much the only way that I could leave the life I had created, was to not know that I was going. You know, that was probably the single best thing that happened to me, was that last 5-day blackout, because I was able to break out of something. If I had thought about it, I would never have been able to stick, but I just woke up a couple counties later, and what the hell? We'll stay. So I'm an alcoholic to the bone. I'm an alcoholic to the bone. I know cravings. I know obsessions. You know, I know pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization like the back of my hand. I remember May 30th, 1996 very well. I mean, that evening anyway. Waking up, wrecking off the side of the road and looking back, and I had 2 dogs in the back seat of the car, and so I had the house, I had the kids, and I didn't know where the hell I was. And I just kept on driving, and I wound up here. I wound up in East Oakland, but I wound up here in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. You know, for the newcomers, I welcome you. Some really big woman, who she had to be because I was tweaking and, you know, moving, and she held on to me, you know, and she was like, honey, bring the body, the mind will follow. And she just kept saying that, you know, she's, you know, and she's just holding on to me. And I mean, I don't know how many times she said it. Was down at a noon meeting by the Oakland jail. And she just held on to me, you know, and just bring the body, the mind will follow. Bring the body, the mind will follow. And she just repeated that over and over and over again. And I still remember, it's one of the few things I remember out of, you know, meetings in the early days. Just bring the body, the mind will follow. That keep coming back, no matter what. Just keep coming back. And I did. You guys never kicked me out, you know. You never told me I was unwelcome. You know, you never called me outcast, you know. I was always welcome here, so I kept coming back, and I got what I needed, and I'm still here, and I'm so grateful. You know, for the newcomers, keep coming back. It says it in the big book, you know, the whole purpose, you know, of the big book is to teach us a new design for living, because for me anyway, it's, you know, I can put down the drink and I can make, you know, resolutions, and I can move, and I can change relationships, and I can change my job, and I can do all this stuff, but it's like, I might be able to stop drinking. I don't know. I never really tried, but, you know, I might be able to, you know, but the fact is that I'm an alcoholic to the bone, and I will pick up. It's like Deborah said, you know, I mean, for me, yeah, you know, I mean, times get bad and drink pops in my head, but I don't have cravings. You know, some people, their Achilles, you know, they say hungry, angry, lonely, tired. You know, some people, if they get too tired, boy, they're, you know, on real slippery ground. Me, it's hungry. I'm a low blood sugar girl. You know, if I get hungry, look out, there's trouble, you know. So, you know, I know that about myself, and I know, you know, I've stayed around long enough to know some of my there's plenty more, weaknesses, but, you know, this whole design for living, I mean, preventing me from going back to where I came from, because no matter how much I know, that's kind of what I do, and I don't mean to. It's like, give me an inch, I take a mile. I don't mean to wander, but I wander, and I'll wind up getting loaded again. So Alcoholics Anonymous in the big book teaches me how to stay, because I never did stay before. You know, you know, alcoholism seems to be this hopeless state of mind and body, and the message in the big book is that we can recover from what seems to be a totally hopeless state of mind and body. And for me, you know, I got to that place of a total hopelessness, and then, you know, I've made it here from there. But what do? We tell our stories, what it was like, you know, what happened, and what it's like now. And the whole purpose of that is, you know, if I tell you what it was like for me, then you can get a picture of my hopelessness and make comparison with your own, you know. And so if it's a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, hopefully I tell you what it was like, you see my hopelessness. I tell you what happened, and you know where the intervention came in, you know. And then I tell you what it's like now, and then you know that I've recovered from that hopelessness. Right? You hear enough stories like that, and you keep applying it to your own life, and you draw enough connections, and maybe you say, oh, I was like that. Oh, I felt like that. Oh, maybe I can have that too. You know, and then you're willing to do what people who are successful around here do. And what does success mean? I'm a member of good standing of Alcoholics Anonymous. What does that mean? I ain't drunk, you know. Woo! You know, and that is really good. I'm a menace out there, and I don't know if any of you can relate, but, you know, I am a menace. I'm a danger to perfectly healthy, happy people out there on the planet. If I'm out ripping and running, you know, I'm a harm. I'm a hazard, you know, and it's the way I am, and I'm an alcoholic. I don't have control once I pick up. And the fact is I become a hazard to myself, to you, to your children, to your parents. I'm sorry, but I do, and I have no control over that. So it's really important for society that I, you know, stay here. It's really important for me because I don't like being locked up. So what was it like? I was born and raised in Oakland. I was doing weird things to get out of self way before I picked up a drink. You know, I was smoking cigarettes in 2nd grade, and 3rd grade I found a warm Coors somewhere, you know, and I cracked that warm Coors open, I took a sip, I gagged it, and then I pounded back the rest, you know, and I come from a long line of alcoholics, and maybe it was a couple more years before I truly picked up and started drinking more than one gagged down beer, but I really started drinking and ripping and running when I was 11 years old, and I stopped when I was 26, so you know, I'm not that old, and I had a really good run, and I've had a pretty good run sober, and I'm grateful. You know, my sister precedes me in the rooms by 2 years, and she's, you know, she was pivotal in me getting here because I got to see exactly what I told you guys, an example of somebody who she was, you know, somebody who was just as bad or worse than me, you know, who some intervention occurred, something happened, that AA thing, and then she wound up having this life and going on to do beautiful and wonderful things and become just this incredible person that I'm proud to call my sister. You know, it's like, you know, I got to see this happening, and it was like, oh, maybe I can have that too, because she came from where I came from. You know, and the kind of alcoholic I was right from the get-go was yours, mine, ours, and then let's go get more. You know, I mean, bottom of the bag, bottom of the barrel. I mean, I don't have an off button. That's a problem. I drink coffee like I drink water. I drink water like I drink beer. I drink beer like I drink vodka. You know, it doesn't much matter to me. And I don't have that off button. So I'm kind of like, you know, I'm passed out, knocked out, drugged out, I don't know what, but I got to be out for me to be stopped. And that my whole life. So the first few years of me getting loaded, it worked. I did better living through chemistry, and I really excelled, and zing, you know, off she goes. And from like 11 to 16, 17, 18, I was on a good run, you know, and I'm not one of those people who can say every time I got loaded it was horrible. It wasn't. I had a lot of interesting visuals. Met a lot of very interesting people in Berkeley, you know, and What, but, that what they say, first it's fun, then it's fun and trouble, then it's nothing but trouble, and that's just, I'm just a garden variety drunk. I mean, it's just the same thing what happened to me, In my first few years were better living through chemistry. Alcohol was my friend. It was my tool. I used them it was like in my briefcase, I mean, these are my tools. This is how I go and equip myself for life. It seemed to work very well. It was liquid courage. It made me very, very smart. And I could study for a long, long time. And I knew how to cheat very, very well. I got very creative with my ways to pass tests in school. And I graduated high school and I moved up here. I graduated high school when I was 16 and I moved up. I'm telling you, it worked, zing. And I came up here to go do that again. And I had all these really incredible goals and hopes and dreams and all this stuff. And I was going to go and do stuff. And, by the time I was 19, 20, I was drinking a pint of scotch or a pint of vodka before my 8 a.m. class. And if I didn't, I was shaking so bad I couldn't show up. And I was gagging down, just like that third grade course, I was gagging down some scotch, and it was coming back up, and then I was making it go down so that I could get to my 8 o'clock in the morning class. And, I had a couple people at the time going, don't you think you might be a little bit of a problem? And I was like, no. And it's helping me, family of origin stuff. I mean, my family was a nightmare. I was falling apart, and I could say all these things, why, what contributed to my drinking. But it, these things didn't contribute to my drinking, but it definitely contributed to my maladjustment to life. Like I did not know how to adjust myself to life on life's terms. I thought if you asked for help, you were weak. I thought that utilizing resources meant that I couldn't do it, which it kind of does, and I can't. But I mean, I thought that was a bad thing. I was putting morality on asking for help. I was putting morality on, I must be a less than person if I have to ask for help. So I would rather fake it, screw it up, do whatever. I mean, just because I had this thing about what was strong and what was weak, and you just couldn't be weak. No matter what, you just couldn't be weak. And so, think it might be a problem, that means that I wouldn't have the power to manage it. It's not a problem, I got power. And, and I didn't. But I didn't know that, because remember, my first few years of drinking, it fueled a lot. So I had my own experience teaching me that alcohol, etc., worked. So I had my own experience that showed me that it worked. So when people said, do you think that might be a problem? All of my life experience told me, no, it's not a problem. This is what is helping me. And so I took a lot of knocks before I was able to say, it was like 9 years later, oh, this is a problem, yes. So what happened? Well, before I was 21, I was a fall down drunk. I dropped out of school. I was on a strictly beer diet. I was house cleaning. Before that, I had been a double major with all these hopes and dreams and goals and stellar grades and all this stuff. And, it only took a couple of years. And, 21 years old, as soon as I didn't have any restrictions placed on my access, it was over. I was... By the time I was 21, that was all I was doing was just scrubbing toilets so I could get the beer, so I could drink myself, pass out, so I could wake up, have a shit job so that I could drink in the morning and not have it be a big deal. I could go and I could drink on the job, and then I could get paid and I could go and drink and pass out so that I could wake up in the morning and drink and go scrub more toilets so I could earn money so I could get beer so I could drink and not get caught. And that was my life. And so all that stuff, I was starting to learn that alcohol was not my friend. It wasn't helping me. It was doing something other. But I wasn't my best friend in the whole wide world. My best friend in the whole wide world. Give it up. What, are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding. So what wound up happening is I followed it. I just chased it. You know how it is. I mean, I just chased the bottle. I just chased the bag. I just chased it. So I wound up in Guerneville, and because it was pretty. And there were trees, it was green, and I had like these Creedence, CCR, tapes in my head, just like, people on the river, happy to give, I'm like, yeah, bring it on, this is great, I'm from Oakland, man, we don't do this, it's like, it just was a totally different vibe. Like, everything that I grew up with, to be out in this little podunk green pasture place on the river, and then, something shiny, and off she went, and, and I was camping for a few months. And one day while I was out there camping with my clothes drying on the shrubbery next to my parka, I realized I think they call this homelessness. Which at 3 months camping really wasn't bad. It was the summertime, and I was on the river, and I'd come in, I'd scrub a few toilets, I'd get some money, I'd panhandle some money. The guy would get some money, we'd do tree service or what. He did tree service. I learned how. Be careful. Don't give an alcoholic a chainsaw. That's a whole other hour. Yes. So I was homeless. Around 6 or 7 months of that homelessness was when it really started wearing on me. It wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't free bird, like let's go. I was in Wyoming. I was in Montana. I was like all over the place. I was like, I have no, where to go. I was awesome. All the responsibilities, all the caretaking I'd done in my life, all the things I had bucked. I had been in long-term relationships, and all of this stuff, all of this accumulated stuff that I hadn't known how to handle, and I had just drank my way through and did what I thought you were supposed to do, but never asking for help, never showing weakness. You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff, it was so awesome to be out there and seeing the world and meeting people, and mountains are big, man, and like getting out there in the Grand Tetons, and, and no anchor. But the fact is, like, wherever you go, there you are. And there I was, and I got back here and there was nothing to come home to. And then the winter hit, and it's like I had 2 dogs, this guy, myself. We'd sold the truck to keep it going. So we were in an Oldsmobile. And it's like 2 dogs, this guy and me, and we went through 2 winters, 2 years in that Oldsmobile, and that was just fucked up, I mean, that was so painful. That was so painful. Oh my God. I'm so not there anymore, but this is good because, it's almost my 10-year anniversary, and it's like I know where I was, They say, remember your last drunk? I know it like it was yesterday. I think about where I am today, and I could just fall on the ground, and I could just kiss the ground. I'm so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. You have no idea. And then I think about where I was then, and I could just fall on the ground and kiss the ground and thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous, because I was in some serious trouble. And and there was a place to go. There was a place to go. So I had 2 years of that, I know people have been on the road a lot longer than me. I was shell-shocked when I got into a safe place. After that 2 years, I had firearms and smashed windows and black eyes and stitches and concussions and, DUIs and smashed this and totaled out that. And some of the stories are funny. Some of them are just pathetic. Some are funny and pathetic. Some just make me just think I'm just a total loser. Oh my God. How I traveled up and down California again and again and again, and I just could not, because there I was. I was so addicted. I was so lost. I was so terrified. And, oh my God, and it came out in rage. That's what it looked like to people outside of me. It looked like rage, and I was scared to death. But I'd get loaded, and all that fear would come out, and I would just haul out on anybody and anything. And that's what I mean when I said I was a menace. I don't mean to, but I got so into fear. Like, when emergency, where do you go? Who could you call on? You see people going to work. You see people having dinner in their living room or, dining room window. You can't come in. It's cold, it's wet. I went through 2 floods out there, and it was really cool to row a boat down Drake. That I liked. But other than that, sleeping in the car, during the flood. I didn't like wet dog smell for months on end. Didn't like that, you know. Just the feeling of not bathing and just, you know, I mean, hungry, but I needed to drink, you know what I mean? It's like, I just, I got an opportunity. There's a bar called Lala's out on Main Street, and you know it? People say, oh, I remember you. I always think, do I owe you an amends? Fuck, you know? Shoot. Those Lala's days kind of get a little, you know, I don't, but they agreed to let me work for them. And what wound up happening, so we were coming up on springtime, you know, it was almost time to, like, you could bathe in the river again, you know, it was almost clean. Well, you know what I mean. You know what not brown. And so I got this opportunity to get a job, and it was perfect. Because if I were non-alcoholic, it would have been exactly what I needed to get myself out of the hole I had dug. And believe me, I had so much negative self-talk. You dug this hole for yourself. You might as well just die in it. You know, I mean, I was ruthless because I didn't blame anybody for my situation. It was all me. It was all my choices. It was all my actions. It was all my arrests. It was all my everything. And I knew it. Nobody ever poured a drink down my throat. I chased it, you know, and I knew that, you know. And so anyway, if I had been non-alcoholic, that would have been exactly what I needed to get out. I'm an alcoholic to the bone, you know. They gave me an opportunity. I could have saved those checks, lived off the tips, and by the end of the summer, I could have had my place. I could have done anything I wanted. I could have gotten out of Guerneville. I could have gone back to school. I could have done anything I wanted. And the fact is, I'm an alcoholic. I need to drink. When I'm an active alcoholic, that's all I want to do. That's all I do is drink. And when I drink at the very end, I got really violent. I got really violent and really unpredictable, and I had weapons. And that's not good. And I tell you, I lived in a car with a guy and 2 dogs. A little squirrely in there. So what happened? I got this job. I was working. I was earning tips. I kept getting into fights. I kept getting in fights. I had 40-some-odd stitches in my hand because I attacked somebody through a window. Don't do that. And so finally, they pulled me aside because, you know, coming in with black eyes and stitch, you know, your whole hand's all wrapped up with really nasty gauze because, you know, it's not like you go back to the doctor. You just go once, you know. Well, those stitches will fall out. So you go back into work going, okay, I can wait tables now. So they gave me warnings. Long story short, they gave me warnings, and I couldn't not drink, and so me drinking meant me violent. So they told me, you know, they were trying to get this bad tag off the bar. You know, they were really trying to clean up the bar, and I was not helping. And they gave me one more chance, and the fact that I'm an alcoholic, and I knew that day that there was something horribly, horribly wrong. I knew it had been the morning. I had drank 2 40s, and I was too sober. But I was too drunk. You know, that place where I really need to sober up, and what I need is I need a beer to sober up. That's what I need. I need a beer. If I just had a beer, that would even it out. I'm a little too drunk. I just need a beer to sober up. What did I do? I went and I got a 12-pack. What happened? I got into a fight. I planted it in front of the gravel in front of the Rio Nito Lodge. The closest I could come to honesty was, you don't want to see my face in there today. And I don't know what happened, because 5 days later I woke up wrecking off the side of the road. And a few hours after that, I woke up a few counties later in a machine shop in East Oakland on the roof of a parts, you know, like, remember Gomer Pyle in the barracks? So I wound up in the barracks like Gomer Pyle, and there was this little makeshift parts room, and it was a machine shop for industrial equipment. And I was on the roof of this parts department, up this ladder. And I remember it was May 31st, 1996, and I woke up and I hit my head on the beam and crawled to the end of the roof, and I had been beat to crap. And I was hungover, not really, you know, the not really hungover, but you know you tied one on. I wasn't sick, but just the afterwards. And crawled to the end of the parts department, and just looking down, it was all this heavy equipment. It was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I remember that feeling so well of it being over. Like, not I'm done, I'm never going to drink again, but I mean like game over, you know, this huge thing. And what happened? Well, my dad lived in a closet off to the office. He had a little twin-size bed in this closet, he's an alcoholic, did I mention that? Little twin-size bed in a closet off the side of the office in this compound, and with a little twin-size bed and a TV, and he let me stay, the boss, the guy who, you know, did the heavy equipment, let me sleep on the floor of the parts department, room, whatever, and my dad was in the, we're not the Brady Bunch. My sister landed in the exact same machine shop 2 years before me, totally detoxing, you know, and having seizures. I had seizures on the floor of that machine shop. I mean, it was just a horrible first 3 months. You know, if you're new in the program, I can give you some, just paint a little picture for you. When I got sober, I could not read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm an English major, and I loved to read. I could not comprehend. It was too abstract. It was too... I could not make a bridge between me and that book. The book that saved my butt is the little brown and yellow Living Sober book over there, and it's really cheap, too. It's like... And I think they gave it to me. I think it was at that noon Bring the Body, the Mind Will Follow meeting, you know? I think that they gave me that book. That Living Sober book, if you have resentments, you open it up to the page in resentments, and it tells you what to do to get out of it right this second. You say, I don't feel like I'm involved in AA. I feel like I'm on the outside, just like I did when I was drinking. And you open up to the, you know, getting started in AA, you know, and it tells you exactly what to do. If you're having a craving, you open it up to the page on craving, and it tells you exactly what to do. It's like, I mean, I couldn't get to Alcoholics Anonymous, the textbook, until I had a sponsor to get there with me. And I know a lot of people can read it without help. I was an English major and a college person and all that. I couldn't read it without help. I mean, I was really disturbed. I was shell-shocked when I got sober. And I couldn't make that bridge. I really did need somebody to help make that bridge between me and the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I really recommend the Living Sober book. Also, when I first got sober, I kept looking for the meeting, thinking that it was going to be that thing outside of me, you know, again, like we do with the job or the guy or the whatever. You know, so I was looking for the meeting. So I'd go to Alameda, I'd go to San Francisco, I'd go to Berkeley, I'd go to West Oakland, I'd go to East Oakland, I'd go to Montclair, you know. I mean, I would go all over the place looking for meetings, you know, and it's like, what I didn't do was go to the same meetings again and again and again. So for me personally, I was constantly walking into a room full of strangers all by myself. That was a horrible experience for me. I did not come to AA and feel like I was at home. Every time I went into AA, I was walking into a room full of strangers, and if I wasn't as desperate as I had been, there is no way I would have stayed. It was too terrifying. You guys were so intimidating. You were happy, I was not. That was enough to intimidate me. You looked like you had friends. You looked like you knew what you were doing. You know, I was just coming to the first time in my life to honestly admitting that I had no idea what I was doing. And you all looked like you did know. And I wasn't drunk. And it sucked. You know, and I was so desperate. I mean, I just had nothing going on, you know. I mean, it was 17 blocks, and I remember this, 17 blocks to BART, to catch BART, to get a bus, to get to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that was my day, you know. It was like me. I'm beat to crap. I got my Living Sober book. My hair is wrapped up around my head. I've got red and green galoshes because those are the only shoes that made it to Oakland. You know, and it's the summertime in East Oakland, and I'm down at the Coliseum on Hagenberg and walking around just like, you want what I got, don't you? You know? Me and my little highlighted copy of Living Sober. So, Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, I had no idea. I mean, I was having seizures. I was all by myself. I had no idea what was going on, and Alcoholics Anonymous saved me. Fireman in AA bought me a pair of boots. He got tired of looking at my ridiculous galoshes, and he bought me a pair of boots and shoes. And you know what? There were no strings. He wasn't chasing skirt. There was no strings. When he took me down and he bought me shoes, and I looked at him, and he was taking me back to that shop, and he is a big guy. And I looked at him and I went, shit, I don't think I can take him. you know, and it was like, oh my God, oh crap, what happens if, you know, I'm female, I'm in the car alone with it, and he never did anything inappropriate at all. All he wanted to do was help me for nothing. He didn't want anything back from me. No strings, nothing. You know, I had a hooker, she gave me my first blanket, no strings, nothing. This awesome crack addict and his wife in Fremont offered me a job cleaning their house. So I'm living in a machine shop where all I've got is, you know, a service station, sink, and a toilet, and they let me come into their home. Me, I'm a homeless, dirtbag, violent, drunk, an addict, and they let me into their house, and then they'd go to work. I would take Bart down to Fremont, they'd get me, they'd feed me dinner, I would sleep in a bed, I would take a hot bath, I would wake up, they'd go to work, I could help myself to anything in the refrigerator, I would clean house all day long, they'd pay me $50 and then take me home to the machine shop. So one day a week for those first 3 months, I slept in a bed, I had a hot bath, I had a warm meal, you know, and it got me hope. You know what I mean? The guy who helped me and didn't want anything for it. It's hope. You know? The lady who just gave me a blanket for nothing because I was cold. Hope. I wasn't a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I was just hovering here like a puppy dog, desperate, because I didn't know what to do. And people helped me, and that gave me hope. I didn't come here with faith. I didn't believe in anything. You know, faith, I didn't think anybody was actually going to be here to help me. I just didn't know what else to do. You know? And I'm still here. Still don't know what to do. But I'm still absolutely floored and grateful for the fact that people are still willing to help me. But you know, today, I have this tremendous amount of faith. Like, I know the help is there. Like, people gave me phone lists in the early days, and it was like, it was written in Swahili. I was like, what do you do with this? And people would say, you call. I'm like, what do you do with this? You call. I don't know what that means. You know, you call. Why would you call somebody? You know, what do you, I mean, it took so long for me to understand calling for this. I mean, God, and then the whole phase, welcome if you're new. If you're a guy, dating guys, woo. And if you're a girl, dating chicks, you know, making friends in AA, you know, I mean, calling people, I have no social skills. How are you? Thank God. You know, thank God for members in Alcoholics Anonymous. All you have to do, if you're new and you're wondering what to say when you call somebody, alcoholics, we're so self-absorbed. Just ask us how our day was. We'll tell you. You'll learn a lot about us just asking us how our day was. So what'd you do today? Just sit down, get coffee, have cigarettes, just, you know, listen. It'll be fine. The members who had some time in AA carried me. You know, first I learned how to make friends, then I started learning how to be a friend, la la la, the happy, joyous, and free stuff, you know, and I really, really recommend going to the dances. I really recommend getting into service. You know, I have a little thing about being on the outside. That outcast, unclean thing kind of really is still there, you know, and so I just really try to make sure I stay on the inside of Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to Cache Creek for years, you know, and Cache Creek, that rafting trip is awesome. You know, the Pillsbury campouts are awesome, you know. I mean, I've never been one really big for the dances, but I used to always make the New Year's dance was like the one I would do, you know, and you know, force myself to go. I always had a blast, you know, and like one year, you know, Preston's out there dancing in a wheelchair. You know, friggin' Preston can dance in a wheelchair. I can do anything. I'm fine, you know, I can do it, you know. It's just, get involved, you know, don't be on the outside. You know, I really do think that if I hadn't moved back to Sonoma County, or if something hadn't changed to get me from where I was, that terrified person, just desperate, because desperation kind of goes away, you know what I mean? It ebbs, it flows. Fear is not enough to keep us sober, you know, it's not. If fear was enough to keep us sober, we'd never need Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, I'm afraid of the judge. I'm afraid of my wife. I'm afraid of, whatever. But fear doesn't do it. The love of your children won't do it. The love of your partner won't do it. Your hopes and dreams and aspirations for a career won't do it. It's like, at least it didn't do it for me, because I'm an alcoholic to the bone. And above everything, I'll drink. And I also know that what I have, they say it's a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. And I hear those words, a daily reprieve. What'd you do for your sobriety today? What did I do for my sobriety today? I better have an answer. Nothing is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. There is not one day in my sobriety where I can honestly say nothing. I did nothing to maintain my sobriety. I'm an alcoholic. I'm not cured. Like I said, I salivate still. I can't help it. That's a physiological response I have. But what's another response is sometimes I recoil like a hot flame, and the first thought that's in my head is poison. It's not poison for somebody down the street, you know what I mean? For me, it's poison. How did I reach that conclusion? Just look at my life. My drinking went in stages, and I could see, how it lightened up, and then it got worse, how it plateaued, and then, that's just the way it evolved. And the same thing in my sobriety. My sobriety has just continued to move and grow and evolve, and it's like, I was talking with somebody before the meeting, and it doesn't matter whether you're old Bill out in Kenwood who's coming up on 58 years of sobriety. What's that? I don't even know. That's like handing me a piece of paper and saying, call somebody. I just can't even get it, It's just too big for my head, But it doesn't matter. Or you've got 30 days of sobriety. It's like it's all the same thing. Basics. You're using the telephone. If you've been beat to crap, then, you're probably pretty willing to ask somebody for help. Or to call somebody and say, hey, what's up? Or be willing to look like a dork for a minute so that you can make a new friend, and just be open to the possibility of something other. And that whole trip, I really, and it's a really old idea of mine, and I still, trip with it sometimes, but that whole idea of strength, what is strength? I don't know, but I know when I'm standing in the room with it, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever it is, it's something I tap into with other alcoholics. Strength is something that I make with another person. It's like God thing, like I may not always feel God or whatever, but when I'm hanging out and I'm really connecting with another alcoholic and I'm in that place of gratitude, and we know where we've been, and we know how lucky we are to be where we are. It's like, I don't know what God is, but God's present there. That's a God moment. I don't know what it is, but this tuning fork goes off in me and I can recognize that tuning fork. I don't know what humility is, but I know what it feels like to be grateful. And they're linked up. It's all connected. I don't really get it, but there's a hum, there's a rhythm, there's a something that's way bigger than me, and it's saving my ass like right now. You have no idea. It's really saving my ass right now, and I'm amazed. I'm so amazed. I'm so grateful. I hope I never forget. I hope I never forget what I did to my life and what I am without intervention. And I hope I never forget how lucky I am that the meetings are here, that you don't have to put the dollar in the basket. If you can, you can. If you can't, it's okay. It is all right. Just keep coming back no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're, if you've relapsed or nothing matters. Nothing matters. Do you not want to be where you were 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever? Do you not want to go? If you don't want to go back, you are welcome here. And I'm so grateful for that, I'm so grateful for that. It's given me a life that's worth living, and because I wouldn't want to be here without Alcoholics Anonymous. I wouldn't want to do this alone. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to do this by myself because I can't. I don't know how. So, I thank you all for listening. I bless you. I wish you the best in the whole wide world. Thank you.